Good morning, Vietnam, and good for the US and Canada. Please, good evening. Greetings to ladies and gentlemen. My name is Claire. I'm the event coordinator of Vietnam Software and IT Services Association from VNASA. Today is my honor to be the coordinator of the seminar. On behalf of the organizers, I would like to say thank you for your time to participate in our webinar, US-Vietnam IT Cooperation, with the purpose of connecting businesses between Vietnam and the US in the ICT field. First of all, I would like to introduce to all of you, our participants to this event. We invite you to press applause icon to greet the distinguished guests. From the US, I would like to welcome Mr. Mark Chandler. He's the director of San Francisco Mayor's Office of International Trade and Commerce. However, he is having another meeting and he will be joining us later on. Mr. Nguyen Trác Tan, the Consulate of Vietnam in San Francisco, would like to participate in person. However, at this time, he's on a plane on a business trip and he sent us his welcome and we will show it later in the program. From Vietnam, please welcome Ms. Nguyễn Thị Thu Giang. She's the Vice Chairwoman, cum General Secretary of VNASA, and the speakers from Vietnamese IT companies. I would like to introduce Mr. Chu Tuấn Minh, the Project Manager of Luvina Joint Stock Company, Mr. Hùng Nguyễn Vano, the CEO and founder of Bestarion, and Ms. Lê Thị Quỳnh Anh, she's the Vice Managing Director of IIST. The seminar today might last up to 1.5 hours with the presentations and the Q&A session. Beside this seminar, all the audience can visit the landing page on this event to view Vietnamese companies' profile, online booth, and directly connect them via live chat, or you can register for business matching with us, and we would like to connect and find your suitable Vietnamese partners to the US companies. Ladies and gentlemen, to begin with the seminar, I would like to invite Ms. Nguyễn Thị Thu Giang, the Vice Chairwoman and General Secretary of VNASA, to give us a welcome speech. Please, Ms. Giang.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning and good evening to you all. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to thank you very much and welcome you all to the seminar on Vietnam-USA ICT cooperation today. As you may know that Vietnam ICT industry is one of the key industry that got a lot of preferential from the government with many good policies and incentives. In 2020, Vietnam IT industry got revenues of more than 120 million US dollar, take 14.7% of the GDP. And it is now the biggest industry in Vietnam at the moment. And in the industry, there are more than 1.2 million people working in the industry, and of which more than 250 software engineers. Vietnam is now doing a lot to build high-skilled human resource, especially in the new technologies as AI, IoT, blockchain, big data, etc. Bình Định province is also a very beautiful city in the center of Vietnam. It's now also proposing to the government a master plans with policies, activities, and programs to become a hub for AI. Vietnam is also one of the biggest market in ASEAN countries with market of more than 97 million population. Government of Vietnam is very open and ready for new trial, new technologies and sandboxes, incentives. And as you all know that USA is a leading country in the world about innovation, about technology, with many incentives, programs, etc. And it is a paradigm for new technologies to start. But US IT companies are also faced up with the lack of human resource. Besides, also cost and expense are also much higher than Vietnam. So we think that Vietnam and US have much potential for cooperation to take the advantages of each other, to raise the capacity of each other. But in fact, the cooperation is still far too potential. So we think that the issues is that we still don't have much enough information yet. So we need to do more to provide information, to understand the market, to see the cooperation opportunities. And that's why this program is organized. The program is so includes this seminar and also one-to-one business matching meetings. And this year, in the context of the pandemic, the program is organized online. But we have planned to organize this kind of activities regularly every year to promote for the cooperation between companies, the two countries in IT field. So as the seminar today, we will have a chance to hear about Vietnam IT industry and market, the update information, and the cooperation opportunities, and have an introduction of the companies and with their capacities, experiences, or solutions or cases. And I hope that we can have a future, have enough information and value for the future cooperation. And besides this seminar, as I mentioned, that we also arrange the one-to-one business matching with our Vietnamese companies. So please access with the program website to register for the one-to-one business matching, and we will arrange the business matching up on your request. I also take these opportunities to thank the Consulate of Vietnam in San Francisco, the Technology Office of Vietnam, and Mr. Mark Chandler for your support and participation. Thank you very much, all the distinguished guests, to spend your time with us today. And thanks, and enjoy the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Zhang. And as we mentioned before, we will be seeing now the video from Mr. Nguyễn Trác Toàn, the Consulate of Vietnam in San Francisco. His speech is in Vietnamese. However, we have added some English subtitles for our American and Canadian guests. So this is the Mr. Nguyễn Trác Toàn welcome speech, please.
Kính thưa các quý vị đại biểu, trước hết tôi xin thay mặt cho Tổng lãnh sự quán Việt Nam tại San Francisco xin gửi lời chào đến tất cả các quý vị tham dự cái buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Tôi cũng xin chân thành cảm ơn ông Mark Chandler, Giám đốc về Thương mại và Hợp tác Quốc tế của thành phố San Francisco. Mặc dù ông rất là bận và đang có cái chuyến công tác tại Canada, nhưng ông vẫn dành cái thời gian quý báu của mình để mà tham dự cái cuộc hội thảo của chúng ta ngày hôm nay. Thưa các quý vị, thì trong cái bối cảnh dịch bệnh COVID-19 vẫn còn đang diễn biến phức tạp mà hiện nay, cái việc Bilasa tổ chức cái cuộc hội thảo trực tuyến này để mà tăng thêm cái sự kết nối và tạo thêm những cái cơ hội hợp tác, thì tôi cho rằng đó là một điều hết sức là cần thiết và có ý nghĩa. Thế thì tôi hoan nghênh và ủng hộ cái việc tổ chức cái cuộc hội thảo này và xin chúc cái cuộc hội thảo của chúng ta thành công tốt đẹp. Như quý vị đã biết thì mối quan hệ giữa Việt Nam với lại Hoa Kỳ là một cái mối quan hệ đối tác toàn diện, và trong cái thời gian vừa qua đã có cái sự phát triển hết sức là nhanh chóng, hết sức là thực chất và hiệu quả. Quan hệ thương mại kinh tế giữa hai nước năm 1995 thì mới đạt khoảng tầm 450 triệu đô, nhưng mà đến nay thì năm 2020 vừa qua thì đã đạt là trên 90 tỷ đô la. Và hai nước thì phấn đấu là trong cái năm 2021 này thì có thể là đạt cái ngưỡng là 100 tỷ đô la. Về lĩnh vực giáo dục đào tạo thì có thể nói rằng đây là một lĩnh vực mà phát triển hết sức là nhanh chóng trong cái thời gian vừa qua. Hiện nay thì số sinh viên Việt Nam mà đang học ở các trường đại học của Mỹ và các cái cơ sở đào tạo tại Mỹ thì có tới 32.000 sinh viên của chúng ta. Và Cái dịp này thì tôi cũng xin thông báo thêm một cái thông tin mới, đó là hiện nay thì các hãng hàng không lớn của Việt Nam, trong đó có Vietnam Airlines, Bamboo và Vietjet, thì đã và đang xúc tiến tích cực cho cái việc triển khai cái đường bay trực tiếp từ Việt Nam sang Hoa Kỳ. Và khi mà cái đường bay này được thiết lập và chuyển động hoạt động một cách bình thường thì có thể nó sẽ mang lại những cái cơ hội hợp tác hết sức là lớn lao và cái cơ hội hợp tác mới cho cả hai bên. Hiện nay thì Mỹ là đối tác của một trong những đối tác quan trọng hàng đầu của Việt Nam, và chính phủ Mỹ thì cũng khẳng định là Mỹ ủng hộ một nước Việt Nam phồn thịnh và độc lập. Thì tôi tin rằng cái mối quan hệ hợp tác giữa Việt Nam và Hoa Kỳ sẽ ngày càng phát triển mạnh trong cái thời gian tới, vì cái hòa bình, ổn định và phát triển ở trong khu vực cũng như trên thế giới, cũng như là đáp ứng cái lợi ích của nhân dân hai nước. Tôi cũng cho rằng là cái mối quan hệ hợp tác giữa Việt Nam và Hoa Kỳ phát triển tốt đẹp thì đó cũng là sẽ tạo cái cơ hội hết sức là thuận lợi cho các doanh nghiệp Việt Nam hợp tác, cho doanh nghiệp của hai bên hợp tác với nhau. Thưa tất cả các quý vị, thì trong cái bối cảnh của cách mạng 4.0 hiện nay và trong cái công cuộc chuyển đổi số ở Việt Nam, thì có thể nói cái vai trò của công nghệ thông tin có ý nghĩa hết sức là quan trọng. Thì nhân dịp này thì tôi cũng xin hoan nghênh và đánh giá cao những cái sự phát triển, những cái thành tựu mà Vinasa đã đạt được trong cái thời gian vừa qua, cũng như là những cái đóng góp hết sức là thiết thực và hết sức là hiệu quả của Vinasa trong cái cuộc chống cái dịch bệnh Covid hết sức khó khăn tại Việt Nam trong cái thời gian vừa qua. Chúng ta đều biết là Mỹ là cái quốc gia hàng đầu về phát triển khoa học công nghệ. Cái thung lũng Silicon và cái thành khi và San Francisco, và khi nhắc đến thì chúng ta biết đây là cái nơi hội tụ của những tinh hoa của khoa học công nghệ và khởi nghiệp sáng tạo. Thì có thể nói rằng cái khu vực này cũng chính là cái nơi mà đã đặt nền móng cho có cái sự phát triển của hàng loạt những cái ông lớn về công nghệ thông tin như là Facebook, như là Google, như là Intel, như là Apple, vân vân. Thế do vậy rằng là cái việc mà Vinasa hướng tới cái việc là tăng cường hơn nữa cái sự hợp tác với lại đối tác Mỹ nói chung và với lại cái khu vực vùng vịnh và thành phố San Francisco nói riêng, thì tôi cho là cái bước đi hết sức là đúng đắn. Ngoài cái thuận lợi nổi trội trên đây, thì khi mà Vinasa tiến hành cái việc là tăng cường cái sự hợp tác trong thời gian tới với lại khu vực San Francisco, thì tôi thấy còn có thêm những cái thuận lợi khác. Đó là một đấy là tại khu vực này thì có hàng ngàn các kỹ sư Việt Nam đang làm việc cho các cái công ty công nghệ lớn của Mỹ. Cái điểm thứ hai là chính quyền thành phố San Francisco thì hết sức là nhiệt tình và hết sức là ủng hộ cho cái sự phát triển hợp tác với Việt Nam, và sự có mặt của ông Chandler ngày hôm nay cũng thể hiện cái điều đó. Cái điểm thứ ba, tôi xin khẳng định là Tổng lãnh sự quán Việt Nam tại San Francisco sẽ ủng hộ và hỗ trợ tích cực cho Vinasa trong việc triển khai sự hợp tác của mình. Và tôi cũng xin nói thêm là trong Tổng lãnh sự quán Việt Nam tại San Francisco thì chúng tôi có văn phòng khoa học công nghệ, có những người chuyên trách về lĩnh vực này. Thế và những cái cán bộ của Tổng lãnh sự quán Việt Nam chuyên trách về lĩnh vực khoa học công nghệ thì sẽ hỗ trợ Vinasa khi mà Vinasa triển khai cái công tác hợp tác của mình trong cái thời gian tới. Thì với cái tinh thần như thế thì tôi có thể nói rằng là tôi hết sức là tin tưởng về cái sự thành công của cái quan hệ hợp tác giữa Vinasa với các đối tác của Mỹ. Và tôi cũng xin chúc cho cái mối quan hệ hợp tác này sẽ thành công trong thời gian tới. Thì cuối cùng tôi xin gửi lời chúc sức khỏe và lời chúc thành công tới tất cả các quý vị có mặt trong cái buổi sự hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Xin cảm ơn.
Thank you very much. So to start with our first presentation, I would like to introduce Mr. Đỗ Thanh Bình from Vinasa to present us an overview of Vietnamese ICT industry market and potential collaboration opportunities between Vietnamese and US ICT fields. So please welcome Mr. Đỗ Thanh Bình.
Hello everyone, my name is Bing from Vinasa. And today I'm very happy to be here and to speak on behalf of Vinasa. Before moving into my presentation, I would like you to watch a video on the overview of Vietnam ICT industry. I hope you enjoy the video.
Located in the heart of Southeast Asia, an emerging market with more than 600 million population, Vietnam is considered as one of the dynamic and fastest growing countries all over the world. IT industry is regarded as an important infrastructure and one of the biggest driving factors to the development of Vietnam.
According to the Ministry of Information and Communications report, in 2020, Vietnamese ICT revenue approximated 120 billion US dollars and would reach 131 billion US dollars at the end of 2021. The hardware industry reported 107 billion US dollars and the software and IT services industry reached 13 billion US dollars. The annual growth rate ranges between 15 and 20%, 3 times higher than the growth rate of GDP. There are about 47,000 IT enterprises with 1.03 million employees, including 250,000 software engineers. Currently, Vietnam has 149 universities, 412 IT vocational schools, providing more than 62,000 technologies engineers annually, and spending much effort for the target of 1 million software engineers. IT is now having a special focus by the Vietnamese government and considered as a crucial infrastructure of all other infrastructures, a driving force for socio-economic development, particularly from 2021 to 2030, the period of national comprehensive digital transformation.
Vietnam has a developed telecommunication infrastructure with 1 million kilometer bandwidth, covering to 100% commutes throughout the country, connecting with 7 international fiber optic cables. Vietnam, together with Singapore, are the first 2 countries that launched commercial 5G system in Southeast Asia. Vietnam has over 140 million mobile phone subscribers and is among the world's top 20 countries of highest number of internet users and top 10 countries having cheapest internet costs in the world.
Vietnamese IT businesses presently account for 80% of domestic market, providing solutions and services for both government and private sector. Export of IT services takes 40% of software revenues, with 3 main targeted markets of the USA, Japan, and European countries. It is now fast expanding, providing services for Korea, Chinese Taipei, and Australia. Besides traditional services like coding and testing, cooperation on system design, R&D, using new technologies such as AI, cloud, big data, IoT, blockchain, VR/AR are rising fast.
According to the Australian Trade and Commerce Report, Vietnam is ranked the 3rd in the Southeast Asia on startups market with 3,000 enterprises, top 20 economies driven by startups. Number of startups supporting organizations are also increasing quickly, with 23 business promotion organizations, nearly 50 incubators, 40 venture investment funds, and over 170 co-working spaces.
E-commerce and fintech are 2 fast-growing areas, attracting leading startups and investment capital in the region. In 2020, the Vietnamese e-commerce market grew 18% to 11.8 billion USD in revenue. Meanwhile, the number of fintech companies in Vietnam increased nearly 4 times over that of 2016, reporting approximately 9 billion USD from 150 businesses. Startups are encouraged in agriculture, tourism, medical, and education.
In June 2020, the Prime Minister of Vietnam approved the National Digital Transformation Program to the year 2025 with orientation to 2030 with 3 main pillars: digital government, digital economy, and digital society. Targets by 2030, 80% of top-level online public services, 100% of national databases are integrated on e-government platforms, Digital economy accounts for 20% of GDP. Top 50 Global Competitiveness Index, GCI. Top 35 Global Innovation Index, GII. Universalizing smartphones for people to access online services. Currently, digital transformation is being mentioned everywhere in Vietnam. Vietnamese businesses ranging from SMEs to big corporations are focusing on investing heavily in the application of digital technologies to create competitive advantages. Meanwhile, the government is making great strides in building a digital government with a series of national databases being established, and the proportion of online public services has increased rapidly. Vietnam is currently ranked 86th in the e-government and the top 25 Global Cybersecurity Index, GCI. More than 40 provinces in Vietnam are carrying out their smart cities building plan.
In recent years, Vietnam has always been in the top 10 most attractive countries for providing IT services in the world. Vietnam is also the second largest IT trusted partner of Japanese and enterprises. Vietnam is being evaluated as the #1 destination for shifting of the global supply chain. Foxconn, Wistron, Luxshare, Pegatron, which are the vendors of Apple, Sony, Google, Microsoft, the world's largest technology corporation, have chosen Vietnam to build their manufacturing factories. Besides, Vietnam is also emerging as a technology R&D center of the world. Samsung invests $200 million R&D center targeted to reach 3,000 engineers by 2022. Qualcomm introduced their first ASEAN R&D center in Hanoi. Grab has an operations center in Ho Chi Minh City. LG, Panasonic, Toshiba are also completing their R&D centers in Vietnam. Vietnam has advantages in large number of technology enterprises, up to 47,000 companies and rising rapidly. Besides, Vietnam also has an abundant IT human resources of 250,000 software engineers who are highly qualified, especially in new technologies such as AI, big data, cloud, IoT. According to HackerBank, Vietnamese programmers are ranked second among ASEAN countries and 23rd in the top 50 countries with the best programmers in the world. Vietnamese IT engineers are among the first and rare to receive Google's Advanced TensorFlow AI certification and GE Predix IoT certification. Universities and training centers are also making great efforts to target to become the center of AI human resources and R&D in the region and the world.
All right, so you have watched a video on the overview of Vietnamese ICT industry. So I hope that through the video you can get some insights into what Vietnam is doing in this ICT industry. So now to continue, I would like to speak about the Vietnam-USA ICT cooperation opportunities. So as you already know, Vietnam has highly skilled and motivated labor force. We are considered to have a very political, stable and fast-growing economy. And Vietnam also stands the top 3 fastest growing telecommunication market in Asia. And we are also considered to have an ideal destination for startups. So here's what the world is saying, is talking about Vietnam. So ATP said that Vietnam stands as number 5 in the most attractive global service location in the world. Gartner also recognized Vietnam as Tier 1 emerging offshore outsourcing location in our part. And Talon said that Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi are among the top 20 emerging global outsourcing cities in the world. So here you can see the trend of moving from offline to online in Southeast Asia. So from the year 2015 to 2019, the number rises 100 million. In 4 years, 100 million. But from 2019 to 2020, the number rises about 40 million. So it is in just 1 year. So From this graph, you can see that people are now moving from offline to online, and it's not only a trend in Southeast Asia, but also a trend in the world. So that is in Southeast Asia. What about in Vietnam? So with a population of about 97.75 million people, we are now having about 154.4 million mobile phone connection, and with about 68.72 million internet users and 72 million internet active social media users. So here's the IT labor force of Vietnam. By the end of 2020, we have about 1,030,000 IT labor force, including 250,000 IT engineers. And these figures can say that Vietnam is really ready for cooperation with other economies in the world in the IT industry. And here you can see the average salary for technology platforms for different positions from 1.5 to 3 years of experience, from very high position like CTO, CIO, director, to technical support or IT help desk. In every position, you can see the salary is very competitive compared to other sector and also compared to other economies in the region and in the world. Here you can see the average monthly salary of software engineer in selected countries. Actually, this is the survey that Vinasa conducted in, I think, 2015, but I think the number is still correct for today. So you can see that Vietnam has very competitive average monthly salary compared to other economies in Southeast Asia, like Japan, Korea, Malaysia, and this is also our strength in this ICT industry nowadays. Now I will talk about the IT trends and the movements in Vietnam. Actually, I mentioned three trends, which are digital transformation, smart cities, and developing new technology, especially AI technology. And as you can hear from the video I played before, the Vietnamese government are now giving out a lot of incentives to help to support for the IT businesses. And some of them I can list here, which are the tax exemption and tax reduction, also about the preferential tax rate and the support for the companies who have the office in some software parks. And we also have the discount for personal income tax for IT employees. For more details with software development, the company do not have to pay tax for the first 4 years of production. Only have to pay 10% corporate tax in the next 5 years since having taxable income. This is very competitive figure compared to the 25% of corporate tax in other sector, in other fields. And the government also give preferential personal income tax for people working in the software industry. And talking more about sandbox, Vietnamese government also carrying out a lot of sandboxes for the ICT sector, especially mobile money, which by the end of 2020 is carrying out and have very good results. And so as you all may already know that the USA has very emerging and developed the ICT sector. So we reckon that we have a lot of opportunities to cooperate in this sector. So here are our needs nowadays with 4 basic needs. The first one is e-government toward digital government. We also need to develop the solution services and products for digital transformation in all kind of fields in the market. And we also are trying to develop our smart city in Vietnam and also train the human resources for new technologies like AI, IoT, blockchain, etc. Here are some opportunities that Vietnam is giving out to the USA. If you want to open office in Vietnam, it's a good opportunity to receive the government incentives in tax reduction, exemption, and also other discounts in fees when you work in a software park. And you can take advantage of the talented human resource in Vietnam, which I said before, very talented and competitive in price. You enjoy the incentive from the government, like I said before. And the one thing that I want to focus is you can accelerate the business with a big market in Vietnam with more than 97 million people. And it's also a big step to expand the business to the market of about 600 million of Southeast Asia. And here are some potential cooperation scopes of the two economies. We can cooperate to develop our human resources, which I believe is now very advanced in the world. And we also can cooperate to develop new tech trends like in AI, IoT, etc. We can work together to develop web and mobile applications. And you can also outsource your workload to Vietnam. And here's what I want to say is, it is like a lot of members of VNASA, we are doing a collaboration with other countries, ICT industry. We cooperate to develop the products, the solutions, and then we can take advantage of the strengths of each economy. We can share the costs, the fees of production. And then when we have the revenue, we can divide the revenue. And that, I believe, it can enable everyone strengths, and we can reduce the cost and also to distribute the products more effectively. And one thing is the R&D sector. Now, a lot of countries are developing their R&D centers in Vietnam, especially Samsung. Like you said in the video, they have a R&D center in Vietnam and currently have about 3,000 employees working in that center. And I want to conclude my presentation with a brief information about VNASA, Vietnam Software and IT Services Association. So VNASA is a non-government and non-profit organization established in 2002, now with 450 members, accounting for 70% of the revenue of the industry and about 65% of the workforce of the industry. As the bridge between the domestic companies and the overseas companies, also the bridge between the companies and the government. VNASA is currently carrying out a lot of activities, business development services, training and HR development, promotion, PR and marketing, business investing, consulting and researching, support and accelerate startups, and a lot of activities about research, promote for technologies application, as well as policy consulting, building and lobbying. So if you want to have some insights into the Vietnamese ICT, you want to know about our strengths, our human resources, our current trend, and you want to open office and you want to develop a business in Vietnam. So VNASA will be very willing to support and to help you with your demands. So that's what I want to say for today. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anh Bình. So next, we may now invite Mr. Mark Chandler. He's the director of San Francisco Mayor's Office of International Trade and Commerce, with many years of experience in trade and commerce internationally, and specifically in Vietnam. He would tell us some information about Bay Area Silicon Valley innovation system and cooperation between Vietnam and the USA. So, hi, Mr. Chandler.
Good evening or good morning to everyone in Vietnam. As Claire mentioned, I represent the city of San Francisco and have for almost 30 years, but actually tonight I'm sitting in Toronto, Canada, up here on a business trip. It's pretty late at night up here in Canada, but greetings from Canada to all who are watching today, whether in Vietnam or the United States, or maybe here in Canada. First of all, I'd like to thank Vanessa and all involved in putting together this conference for inviting myself and the city of San Francisco to participate. Thank you very much for the invitation and for all the assistance and support. And a special shout out to Consul General in San Francisco, my good friend, and the consulate. They are a fantastic resource for any of you in Vietnam. They are highly respected in San Francisco. They know everybody in San Francisco and California. And it is always an honor to work closely with them. We are really, truly partners. And cooperation is our goal as the city of San Francisco and our focus on Vietnam. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to be pretty brief, but I want to give a little bit of a background for those of you in Vietnam on the question I get from every visitor that I have or every conference that I have is, why is Silicon Valley in the San Francisco Bay Area, and Silicon Valley now is all of the San Francisco Bay Area, about 7 million people here, why is it the innovation center of the world? What's the magic that made this happen? So what I want to do is just kind of try to give a very, very brief overview of why we think this is the technological innovation headquarters of the world, and then touch on some of the things that I think are relevant to Vietnamese businesses as they possibly look at cooperating or coming here. So there's a lot of slides here. Some of them I'm going to go very quickly through, but hopefully you'll get a feel for why this region that I live and work in, and that many of you probably have connections with, or some of you may live in, is unique in the world. But for those of you that are in technology, you're in IT, you're in biotech, you're in any of these areas, AI development, you need to know about the Bay Area, because this is where it's happening. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully get my PowerPoint working here. Okay, everybody seeing that, I hope, all right?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, thank you, Claire. So the Bay Area Innovation System, this is a very unique ecosystem. It's a word I hate to use, but we use it all the time, ecosystem, which is composed of a variety of very diverse institutions and actors linked together by very interesting networks, some formal networks, most informal networks, but that share very distinct cultural values regarding how value is created. So this isn't something that was ever drawn up by a government. It wasn't designed by a company. It wasn't designed by a university. This is something that organically grew over decades and decades and decades here in San Francisco and the Bay Area, probably really almost 150 years in the making. So first of all, and the key point of why we're so successful here is we have 5 of the greatest research universities in the world here in our region. Everybody knows Stanford and everybody knows Berkeley, but there's also UC San Francisco, which is the leading, this is where the DNA was first split. So where all biotechnology was born. We have the University of California, Davis, which is very, very advanced in ag tech, and University of California, Santa Cruz, which is very strong in the science area. These are the places that if you go back and you look at how Silicon Valley formed, how the innovation center formed here, you'll find they come out of these places. This is where the students were trained. This is where the professors worked. This is where the basic research has been done and continues to be done, that then moves off campus and becomes the applied products for the success and the business success that you see. So if there was ever one key to why things are here, it's because of this great educational foundation, which was frankly built by our grandfathers and great-grandfathers and great-great-grandfathers and grandmothers long before we're here. It's the key here, but it's only one factor. Then we also have a lot of government organized research laboratories here in the area. Most of these were set up during or right after World War II, but their legacy lives on. And they are, again, some of the cutting edge research laboratories in terms of basic research. And then we have, and these are some more that are government-oriented laboratories, such as the Lawrence Berkeley Lab. We have the California Center for Science and Innovation. So you have many, many of these kind of semi-government, but also academic type research institutions taking place here. These are some more. These are in the biotech area, for example. But then you have all the corporate. You have the business side of it. You have And again, this slide is very crunched up with lots of names, and I apologize for that. But every name that you see on there has some kind of research and development office, technology center, development center, innovation center of some type here in San Francisco Bay Area. So if you look at that list, it's basically every large company in tech that you've probably heard of, both here in the United States, but also from around the world. So you see people like Bayer from Germany, you see Nissan from Japan, you see Samsung from Korea, you see Ericsson from Sweden, etc. You see this. And so again, you not only have the academic side of it, the government side of it, you have a huge cluster of business tech development, innovation development institutions here in the Bay Area. This cannot be replicated by any other place in the world. We also have, and I think for the people who are watching it today, this is a very important thing, is we have a huge incubator and accelerator sector here in San Francisco. There are probably at least 25 incubators here in our city, and probably 50 to 75 incubators and accelerators throughout the Bay Area. Again, the 7 million person Bay Area, because this is where the startups and the entrepreneurs come from. They're going into incubators. Some of these are run by government. Some of these are run by private companies. Some of these are run by academic institutions. Some are cooperatives. But this is where the 1, the 2, the 3 person startups go to, or the early venture stage companies are going to. And they're being incubated, they're being mentored by professionals who run these incubators, and they're cross-pollinating with the other companies that are in these incubators. So my advice here, and the reason I put this slide in, is if you're in Vietnam and you're looking at possibly coming into the United States or the Bay Area, this is probably the route that you're going to take, unless you've really made it up the food chain and you're a pretty big company at this point. Because this is where you're going to get advice on a daily basis. This is where you're going to be sitting with your peers. This is where you're going to have connection to venture capital, and we'll talk about that. And this is where you're going to have advice from accountants and lawyers, which you have to have if you're going to be going into business on the global scale, all in one place. So again, this is a very key thing. And I think, again, San Francisco and the Bay Area probably does this better than any place in the world. The other big thing that makes us different is the financial structure. I'm sure everybody in listening today has concerns and issues around trying to finance startups, trying to finance your entrepreneurial ideas, trying to finance your companies. It's not easy. It's not easy. However, in the San Francisco Bay Area in California, this is the center of risk finance, okay? And that's a historical thing that grew up, frankly, over about 100 years, starting very early in the history of California and San Francisco. So number one, San Francisco is the financial center of the Western United States. New York is the financial center of possibly the world, but San Francisco is the financial center of the Western United States. The largest traditional banks are located here. The Federal Reserve, our government bank, is located here. I could go on and on. Big pension funds are located here, and so on. But more importantly, this is where venture capital was created. Venture capital was actually invented about 1 kilometer from my office at City Hall, down in the middle of San Francisco. And today, San Francisco and the San Francisco Bay Area, we're about 3% of the population of the United States, but on an annual basis, 35 to 50% of the venture capital that is issued or is sent out each year comes to companies and organizations within our Bay Area. And the reasons for that is very straightforward. The VCs, the venture capitalists, live and work here. This is where their companies are. And they like to have their money and their influence close at hand. They like to see what they're doing because they're taking equity positions in these organizations. So again, 3% of the population, but in some years, almost 50% of the venture capital invested in the United States staying here within the Bay Area. So again, if you're coming here, that's one of your opportunities. You have an opportunity to avail yourself of this financial sector that does not exist anywhere else, at least in the United States. Below that, we have we invented angel investing. This is much more smaller scale investing than venture capital. And I list just a few angel firms here. These are the ones that will take even more risk than venture capital. And I could probably triple, quadruple, or quintuple that list of angel investors that are here. This is where crowdsourcing and crowdfunding was created. So that is now a big thing. This was where fintech first took off. So again, you have a financial sector here in the Bay Area. You combine that with all the research and development. You combine that with all the private companies. You combine this financial sector. You're getting an opportunity to avail yourself of institutions such as venture capital and angel funding by being here that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And again, it's one of the reasons for our success. This money takes risk. Banks don't take risk. Banks are not going to take risk. A venture capitalist makes 10 investments. On 6 of those investments, he loses every penny or every dong, okay? He loses everything, okay? On 2 of those investments, he breaks even. And on 2 of those investments, he makes amazing money. So he's taking a huge risk every time. No bank would ever do that. That's the kind of financial structure we have here. So this, we call this the bowl of spaghetti, okay? This is trying to take what I just went over and all the different names and saying how it combines to make this ecosystem we call Silicon Valley or the Bay Area innovation ecosystem. Don't try to figure it out. Nobody can. But the point is, it is a massive interaction of all kinds of organizations, basic research universities, basic research government labs, private labs, angel investors, venture capitalists. And again, all of these are global. They're all global. They're all got connections globally too. So while this is our ecosystem, it really is reaching out to the world at the same time. Now, what are some of the, again, things that are advantages and make us unique? Our workforce is a global workforce here. We welcome people from every corner of the world. It is said that 45% of all tech companies are founded by people born outside the United States, okay? In my city here in San Francisco, 48% of our citizens were born outside the United States. We welcome everybody here. We welcome you to try to be successful. There's a culture in San Francisco and the Bay Area where risk is allowed. In fact, if you go to a venture capitalist and you haven't shown that you failed with some idea, they may not talk to you because you're not pushing the envelope. You're not being adventuresome enough if you haven't failed at some point. So failure is not the end of the line here, which in many places in the world, if you fail at something, that's the end of the line. Steve Jobs was a massive failure. He was at Apple and they fired him. Okay, people don't remember that. They fired him. He was a failure, but that didn't stop him. He went on, did other things, went to Next, went to Pixar, came back. That's an example. That is an everyday example. There's an acceptance of failure. The networks here are both formal and informal, especially the informal networks. There's a tremendous feel of collegiality, of working together. People compete like heck. It's super competitive, but they also combine and come together in a way and make these informal networks, again, that can't be rivaled by anywhere in the world, in our opinion. So what do we have? We have a unique chain of public and private institutions. We have a scale and diversity that you can't match anywhere else. And it's globally situated. And I think that's what's really key. This is global. So, when I think about Vietnamese companies and startups and entrepreneurs, those that we're talking about today, where there's tremendous opportunities for cooperation, I would just say this. I'm from San Francisco. We say our region, our city is the center of global innovation. So as you're getting to a point where you feel you've got to get into that global platform, we think you need to be here, okay? There is availability of expertise here that we don't think can be found anywhere else, whether it's legal, whether it's financial, whether it's technical. There is the availability of expertise and willing to work with you that's unrivaled anywhere else in the world. There is a welcoming culture here, and I said that. We welcome everybody. And I will say that there's a great, great affinity and love of Vietnam in San Francisco and the Bay Area. Not only do we have a very large Vietnamese American population, but virtually everybody here has been to Vietnam and knows your country. And so there's a great affinity for working with you and with your country. And I think Consul General pointed that out in his words. As I said, you can come here and fail. It's not going to stop you. We accept risk, okay? We accept risk. You can do that. And then you go on to the next thing and you're successful. And that's what we're going to work for. So this was just trying to give you a very, very quick overview of this very unique ecosystem that we have in the innovation sector, in the technology sector, why I think you should be aware of it. But I will close with saying, I wish everybody good luck. Again, I thank the NASA for including me today. Think about as you go global, think about where outside of Vietnam, because you're going to stay in Vietnam, but you're going to have to do other things, where you should be. And I think you want to be in the United States, and I don't think there's any place outside of San Francisco that you will find is more welcoming, has more resources available, and could be a place where you get a global platform, which can lead to great success. So good luck to all of you. And again, thank you to all for letting me join today. Thank you. Come on, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandler. I think those information are super nice to hear, and it's very concise. And I think you did a really great job bringing San Francisco in like atmosphere to the seminar today.
Well, that's my job. I'm supposed to sell San Francisco, right? So that I'm happy to do that. And I will say personally, I first went to Vietnam in 1994. And I've been back 15 times. And so I hope we make more and more partnerships so I can get back another 15 times. It's my favorite place.
Yeah. I always dream to come to the US someday. However, I would like to also ask you to stay until the end, because I think our Vietnamese company will have a lot of questions for you after this presentation. Okay.
Thank you. I'd be proud to.
Yeah, so to move on, I would like to invite Mr. Chu Tuấn Minh. He's the project manager of Luvina Joint Stock Company to introduce us about his company, Luvina. So please, Mr. Minh.
Good evening and good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. So let me share my screen.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, hi everyone. My name is Minh, and I'm the current project manager at Luvina Software Company. For today, I would like to introduce you to our company, your trusted partner in software development. So Luvina Joint Stock Company is founded in July 2004. So we already have like 17 years of experience in software development and maintenance, as well as system operations. And our market is like 100% focused on international market. Our current number of employees right now has reached more than 750 people. From the very beginning of the company foundation, we already took the CMI level 3 qualification, as well as ISO in quality and security. And in the recent year of 2021, we also ranked the top 10 ICT in Vietnam in exporting software. Right now, we currently have our headquarters in Hanoi, Vietnam, as we have 2 branches, one in Kanagawa Prefecture, Japan, and another one in Da Nang, Vietnam also. So what is our service menu? So our company offers a variety of service, from software development and maintenance, system monitor and operation, AWS cloud migrations, human resource supplying, and as well as productive efficiency. Within our service, we also have like a wide variety of domains corresponding to a wide range of fields. In enterprise software system, we have banking, insurance, asset management, security, as well as like ERP and CRM. Internet system, we focus on e-commerce and CMS. And control the embedded system, we are ourselves in factory automation and bus information system. In Luvina, we also value the training of our people, and we see our employee as a foundation to the company. So we provide our course for IT, which is called Luvina Academy. This is a free training course organized by our company to the excellent students that expect to grad from Science University. And once the student pass the course, they will be awarded a Luvina certificate. So this will recognize the student as a Luvina employee, and they are ready to work right away when they join the company. This course takes over in 4 months, and this is a full-time course, which is like 5 classes per week and 4 hours per class. We give a content like in basic Japanese, as well as like Vietnamese. Many people were wondering, okay, why we teach Vietnamese to our Vietnamese people? So we believe that our mother tongue is like a ceiling cap for us to learn foreign language. So we want to perfect our Vietnamese before like working on Japanese or English. We also give our students training in working methods like report, communication, discussion, as well as get them familiar with the mindset of all the software development process like CMI level 3 and ISO certificate. technical and stack, we also give them training on database and network, Java, and web applications. Yes. So why Lumina? We proud ourselves in stable software quality. The stable software quality here proved in the delivery of the component of software as well through the whole project lifecycle from the very beginning. And it's controlled by a process-oriented and through our management, as well as like our employee have a tenacious spirit to make absolute successful projects, make everything perfect. We also have stable human resource. As mentioned above, our personnel is trained in our unique system, the Leuven Academy, and we are proud in that, as well as securing long-term human resource. We're also a long-term partner for the entire product lifecycle. We will be here and stay with your customer from the very beginning, from support from phase like product design to development, maintenance, operation, and to renewal. And this will bring a value to a client as a long-term partner. So for every phase, it will be us. And we will be already familiar with your business. We also have a rich experience in international market. So right now we have Japan, Singapore, and Canada. We are proud in deliver like quality and strict deadline as like Japanese quality, but we can also adapt more to agile methodology to boost up the production and continuously bring our production to the customer to raise the happiness. So that is about Luvina. So what we are looking for American companies. So we are looking for the American company to buy our service, as well as to introduce our service to your American customer. And if you also need a sales agency in Vietnam, then we're also happy to do so. Okay, and so thank you very much for your attention, and we are looking forward to any future cooperation. So that's a brief introduction from our side. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Ming. I think you can drop your contact information in the chat box so everyone can send you an email or anything to contact with you. Yeah. So, yeah, and the next presentation, I would like to welcome Mr. Nguyễn Văn Phi Hùng. He's the CEO and founder of Bestarion to share with us some case study on the international outsourcing market from Bestarion.
Good morning, everyone, or good evening from the US. So I'm Hùng, or you call me Vano, from Bestarion. I'm the CEO of the company. And for today, I would like to present to you a little bit about our company, our history, and our services. And mainly, I would like to share more about a specific case study that demonstrates the cooperation between the US and Vietnam for the last more than 14 years, which had been and currently happening in Bestarion. Okay. So let me share my screen. Hey, can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay. So currently we was established in 2003 and until now 17 years or more than 17 years in service. And we got a team of more than 150 engineers and providing services in 15 countries around the world. So our mission is to provide business success to organizations and individuals around the world with our specialized consulting and software development services through a great environment that maximizes the potential of each individual and the whole team. So this is the milestone. Basically, we was always originated from Larion. So Bestarion or Larion, you can consider that we are the same. Just the change in the strategy. So Larion was originated in the software development. Now we got another branch, another company catering on product development. So all the outsourcing development has been happening in Bestarion. So Bestarion inherits the people, the customer, and the system from Larion. And later on, I would like to share more about the case study of a healthcare customer in the US. So okay, this is the countries that we have been providing our services to. Currently, this is our value propositions. We are one-stop IT solution provider. In terms of quality management, we qualify with ISO 27001 for information security management system, ISO 9001 for quality management, and CMMI level 3. So we welcome all customers with the contract flexibility, either the fixed price or time material. And our main objective is to build a long-term relationship with our customer, and as evidence or as a proof that we got a customer currently still with us for the last 14 years. Besides our expertise in our areas, we are also quite competitive in pricing. So not only we trying to be a outsourced software development outsource provider, but we would like to be your partner, or would be to a consultant to resolve your problems. Okay, so let's go into one success story for the cooperation between the US and Vietnam. So here's the story goes. This is the customer of Best Orion. And back to 2006, the CEO or the president of mid-period came over to Vietnam and looking for a company, a team to develop a product in healthcare procurement. And they found us. And we developed with a team of, originally with a team of 2 or 3 people, developers. We developed the first line of code. And until 2012, the product went live with the partnership with McKesson in the US as the #1 company in the healthcare supply chain company in the US, and number in Fortune 500 company, and I think in the top 5 company in the Fortune 500. And McKesson took the product to distribute the product into their healthcare network, including around 7,000 hospitals in the US. So until now, since 2012, until now, there are more than 1,000 big hospitals in the US are currently using our system, the system that we have been developed, and currently not only develop, maintain, and operate the system. So a little bit about this procurement system, why the hospital, they use this system to buy their medical or surgical items. So, you know, in the hospital, they got the ERP, also called the MMIS, Material Management Information System. They can use their system, the MMIS, to buy the medical or surgical items. However, why they subscribe to material production, so-called MSS, to buy the medical and surgical items? Because as a matter of fact, that the money they spend on subscribing on this product is less than the money they could save, is the cost saving. So instead of they buy the same item in their system, they can buy the same item in MSS, and that could save their money. Instead of, like, for example, a glove or a knife, a surgical knife cost like $1, but they can buy from this product, they cost only 80 cents. Not only for the AI power procurement system that we have developed, the contract management, the requisition management workflow, and to control that, only preferred or stock item could be bought. Not every items can be bought. You know, since now in the U.S. in the healthcare industry, there are around 2 million medical or surgical items there, and how to find the right item, how to find the right item that meet the requirement at the lowest price. That's the challenge right now, and the product is to solve that problem, to find the right item at the best price. So that is the way we can save healthcare organizations money. This as a result, on average, each healthcare organization can save 15% of annual supply chain spend. I'm sorry. Go back to the previous slide. And or equivalent to around 50 to 150 million US dollars per one healthcare organizations on average. So now there are more than 100 healthcare organizations, but there are more than 1,000 hospitals, because some healthcare organizations, they have multiple facilities, or they have multiple hospitals across the US. So this is the result that we can save, or we can help our customers to save money. Along the way, we work with the customers very closely. So our customers may period, they just got the idea, they're in charge of the marketing, the sales, the consultation, regarding everything regarding the software development, from the requirement clarification, requirement development, design, the technical design, the coding, implementation, the testing, and release, and release to production, testing, and after that to DevOps. We got a team of DevOps to monitor the system. Everything happening in Vietnam and in West Taiwan. For now, we got a team of 70 people catering for this customer only. So we have a team of software development. We got a team of data for data cleansing, normalizations, and a team of software development, and a team of maintenance, and a team of DevOps to maintain and monitor the system. And we work with the customer very closely, and recognizing their time zone difference. We have around 12 to 14 hours in difference in the time zone with our customers. So our sales and our customer make it up by meeting at Monday evening Vietnam time, Wednesday evening Vietnam time, and our customer spend their Tuesday evening their time, and Thursday evening their time. That means our Wednesday morning and our Friday morning. So almost every day of the week, we got a meeting with our customers to discuss customer issues, to discuss requirements, to discuss features, and also to discuss technical problems that need collaboration between the team here in Vietnam and the CTO in the US. So overall, we are very happy and very proud to be a provider for this customer. It's not a software development outsourcing company to do a sub functions or to do not so critical features of our customer, but we involve everything regarding related to the product development. And
excuse me, Anh Hùng. I think we went a little bit over time already. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Okay, I think that. Sorry, I'm so excited to share about this. So go over time. Okay, this is our contact, and happy to if you got any interest to discuss further and would like to know about this customer or any potential opportunities coming up.
Yeah. Thank you, Anh Hùng. You can send your contact in the chat box. And last but not least, please welcome Miss Quỳnh Anh. She's the Vice Managing Director from IISD, and she will give us a brief introduction about IISD company. Thank you. Please welcome Miss Quỳnh Anh.
Yes. Good evening and good morning, everyone. Could you see our slide? Yes, thank you. First of all, I would like to introduce Mr. Han Vũ Thắng, the President and Managing Director of IISD, is joining the meeting today. And I, Quỳnh Anh, Vice Managing Director of IISD, I represent IISD BOD Board of Directors to introduce about our company to you. IISD was established in 2012 with the capital 1.3 million US dollar. We have over 9 years working in IT business. Our headquarters is located in Hanoi, and we have a branch in Ho Chi Minh City. We specialize in two main business, outsourcing business and management solution services. We have around 200 software engineers working for us at the moment. And now we have an ISO 9001 certificate for quality management and ISO 27001 certificate for information security. We are having business with many big Japanese and Vietnamese partners such as Fujitsu, Toshiba, Hitachi, Entity Data, Kyocera, OKI from Japan, and Viettel, the biggest telecommunication and IT corporation in Vietnam. Now we have planned to expand business to US market. So we would like to connect with our partners from the huge potential market. Regarding to outsourcing business, we are developing many software and application follow customer requirements. There's a window and web application, mobile application, digital transformation, IoT, AI, embedded application, and big data. Based on various technologies such as Java, JS, ASP.NET, Android, iOS, React Native, C++, etc. We often execute full-phase project from business analysts, designing, developing, testing, and deploying. We also execute the maintenance project as well. Regarding to management solution business, we are implementing ecosystem of solution for company management, such as ERP for both Info and SAP HANA, warehouse management, assets management, financial management, etc. There is the first solution, ERP. It's a prime resource planning solution. You know, ERPs manage full modules of company management, such as sales, purchase, financing and accounting, warehouse, and especially production. EAM Enterprise Assets Management Solution. EAM manage value assets and equipment for company and project. HCE Supply Chain Executive Solution. HCE is the best seller solution to manage warehouse system and logistic business. 7 in 10 biggest logistic companies in the world using this solution, such as DHL, FedEx, NYK, DB Schenker, etc. The next is Sun System, a big accounting solution for big company and corporation, especially in the hospitality business. Yeah, and the last is Salesforce, a big and famous CRM and business framework. That is yeah, that is the brief introduction about IISD. Thank you for your listening, and we'd like to answer any questions from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Quỳnh Anh. You can also put your contact in the chat box. But we have received a question from Mr. Chung Ching. So his question is, as Ms. Zhang mentioned in her welcome remark, the potential of cooperation between Vietnam and the US is still far from enough. My question is that, what are the obstacles that prevent more promotion between American and Vietnamese ICT companies? So if Mr. Mark Chandler and Ms. Zhang could answer this question.
Yeah, let me tell you my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
First, I think you have to first look at the last two presentations. 10, 15 years ago, if we talk about technology cooperation, we wouldn't have had those presentations and success of those companies. So I think you have to put in perspective that, frankly, Vietnam started later in the technology field than many other countries. And so when it came to US companies, I mean, their first outreach, frankly, was usually to Japan or to the EU. And then it was Korea, Taiwan, Singapore. And then they began to look at other places. So it's just a matter of timing, I think, in one case, that your industry, compared with many other countries, is still very young and growing. That's one issue. But the question was kind of a negative influence. I think that's positive. I think things are growing. It's just a matter of time. The second issue I'd say is resources. If there's one thing that the people that I meet in Silicon Valley, the decision makers, the heads of companies, have the least of, it's time. And remember, the whole world is knocking at their door. And so when Consul General talked about the fact that there are going to be soon nonstop airline flights from Vietnam to San Francisco or Vietnam to the United States, that just sounds like a nice thing. That is a tremendous, tremendous boost to being able to start to make, to build these networks and cooperation, because a top business executive does not want to have to be on a plane going to 3 different cities for 24 hours. He will go, or she will go, where it's easiest and most convenient. So, you know, these networks that are being built and being expanded, and I personally have worked on Vietnam Airlines for 25 years to get them to serve San Francisco, and they're going to do it, you know, it will make a big difference. So I think my answer to that is the connections are growing, but these things don't go fast. They're growing bit by bit by bit. And what we see today is a much better connection, and we're going to see even better connectivity in the near future than we did, say, 10 years ago.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, Ms. Zhang?
I would like to express my view on that. I think that the potential is huge, but the fight is still not reached that yet. Because as I think that from my point of view, we still don't have much information exchange yet, because yeah, if you can see that when the government of Vietnam or the US government come to talk together, just people will all just know about the coffee, about the catfish, and so on from Vietnam. But the IT still not mentioned yet. Because US companies still don't have much information about Vietnam, so they don't have interest. So the important thing is that we should organize more cooperation seminar or activities together in IT field, and provide more information, provide enough and right and correct information about the good or the advantage or disadvantage and so on from the country or about the companies and so on. So if the companies of the two sides know, have the information, so if they have the opportunities, the companies see the opportunities, they will do more. They will have more cooperation. So in this way or that way, to cooperate with each other. So that's why, as I mentioned, that we will organize this kind of activities every year to provide you with enough information about the industry. So as Mr. Chandler also said that, he will see kind of a different view with the presentation from the companies, right? Before, maybe people will not see, I remember about, one of my business trip to France about 10 years before. When we talk, we come and meet with French organizations and their companies. They invite an expert to come to talk to us. And then at that time, when the experts show the information about the IT industry in Vietnam, we were all surprised because we didn't know where they got that info, because it's far from what it was at that moment. So and then we need to introduce about the industry to them again, and then they say, but because we don't have information, so that's why. So for the situation is still the same. So I really hope that Vinasa can cooperate with the organizations in the USA, and also we also would like to have the support from the government from US or from San Francisco to support us to organize the activities, to bring informations to the companies or the communities in there.
I will. I'd come back in. I'll just really say I agree totally with Ms. Nguyen's comments there. Again, remember, when we're talking about the tech companies and the tech individuals and the entrepreneurs in the United States, they have the world knocking at their door. And so it takes concerted efforts like you're doing today, and which you plan to do in the future, to push out the information, to create the networks. You have to be really proactive to it, because everybody's doing it. Okay, everybody's doing it. Every country's doing it. Every cities are doing it. Okay, individual. You have to really push it out. And I think that's why it's so fantastic that you have this conference today, and you're planning many more conferences and other activities in the future to push out this information, so that we get the right information, not the wrong information. And people, if they have the right information, then they'll make decisions based on that. And so I think that's great work, and you're doing exactly what needs to be done. You got to get out there, got to be proactive, you got to push your message out there, because they're hearing a lot of messages every day. So you got to push your message out there. So congratulations. I think you're doing great.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. I don't think there is any other question.
Yeah, Claire, I think maybe the company also can see the picture. So Yeah, from Westarion or IIST or Lumina, what do you think to prevent is the things that prevent the cooperation? What is the obstacle? Yeah.
So, okay, this is Home from Westarion. I would like to share my point of view on that. Firstly, this is the geographical obstacle between Vietnam and the US. This is, I think, the longest between two countries, like 12 hours difference. So day and night and day. So very hard to communicate or collaborate. And nowadays, not only we do on digital marketing, the customer don't see us on the net, and they're looking for the trust, the people they get acquainted to, not only the APIs on the web. So the challenge right now is how to build the relationship with the potential customer. And at the first time, they can provide, they can outsource their work to us, but they need to know who we are and whether they can trust us in outsourcing their work to us or not. So that is the main obstacle. The second is the information constraint. Recently, with the several data leak or information constraint that restrain the data, not leaking or not going outside of the US. So the company very hesitant to outsource the data, their work to companies, vendors outside the US. And only a subset of their work can only be outsourced, not everything. So I think that is the two main obstacles that preventing the US to Vietnam, not to everyone, but to Vietnam, because US also still have a lot of choices in terms of outsourcing.
I'm going to add one other point that I would just like to say, and I think this goes back to the first presentation, is I think, this is just my opinion, but I think you're going to see heightened interest from American companies in the ASEAN region. Because frankly, right now, the United States and China, as you well know, are not getting along. And all of our tech companies are in China and have been there. And they're going to be looking for other places and other markets to expand in. So I think, as you presented at the start, how Vietnam is the perfect hub to serve the ASEAN market, which is a massive market, is a great opportunity. And I think that's going to become more and more important, frankly, as our company, and as Hung just said, companies in here in the country, in the US, some companies have hesitancy with taking things outside the borders, especially to China now. And so that opens up other opportunities for the future. And I think ASEAN, and you as the hub of ASEAN, will have that advantage.
Yeah, and from what Hung just mentioned, I see that the time difference between Vietnam or the USA is a kind of obstacle, but it is also can be an advantage, because if we Vietnamese company and US company work together in one project, the project will be like will be developed almost 20 hours, 24 hours, because the working from when we finish our working day, the USA partner will start their working day. So people who the project will be here developed faster. That is kind of, if we can use that as one of the advantage. Quỳnh Anh or Minh, do you want to add on something with your point of view?
No, thank you.
Very good.
Okay, Mr. Chandler, I would like to ask you one kind of, if a Vietnamese company want to go to US, so I think that you have very informative and very attractive presentations about San Francisco. But kind of, if it's just San Francisco is so big, so kind of if they want to go there, so what is—
It's not easy. It's not easy. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you know, there's formal and there's informal networks. Okay. I mean, formal networks, as Consul General said in his speech, go through the science and technology people at the consulate. They're very helpful. They'll help you and introduce you to American firms. You know, you can pay an American firm to set you up here and get you in place. But there's the informal networks that are probably more valuable. And again, one of the advantages is you have the large Vietnamese American population that's in the tech industry here in the Bay Area that are going back and forth between your country and my country and have those ties. What we see from most foreign companies, they use those informal ties to get started when they're small. And they use those, they often go, as I mentioned, into these incubators. We have a number of countries, and Vietnam has not done this yet, and this may be an idea for you to explore. We have many countries in the world that run or take pieces of our incubators or accelerators here in San Francisco and actually help finance their companies that have reached a certain level to come and actually sit here in San Francisco and the Bay Area and get involved in this technology ecosystem. New Zealand does that. Israel wrote the book on that. Because Israel, the companies are really innovative, but Israel's a little tiny country and they can only go so far in that country. So the country actually finances their companies to come here and grow. It helps both places. New Zealand does this. A lot of the European countries do this. Australia does this. Even Brazil does this. Chile, some of the places like this. So Vietnam hasn't done that. So that might be a task to work with your government to see if they'd be doing that. But I think using the informal networks is probably the easiest, more than the formal networks here. It's not easy. It's going to take some resources. It's going to take some time. It's going to take dedication. And really it takes a good connection here. And I think that's where you use the informal networks. And it's going to be hard for a while, but if you stick it out, we see a lot of success from all over the world happening here.
Yeah.
We have another question from anh Khôi Nguyen or Khôi Nguyen. I'm sorry, it's like there's no dấu symbols, so I just read it. We already work with some creative agencies in New York, and our latest work matched global standards for high quality products as they want. Do you have any comparing between New York and San Francisco? We are a web development company. Yeah, Khôi Nguyen.
Well, in terms of software development and application development and hardware development, you know, New York is very small. Okay, in terms of things like you're involved in, where you were talking with creative industries, New York is the center of the world. When you're talking advertising, when you're talking product design, anything in finance, they're the center of the world. So they're very two different types of economies there. Everybody needs web developers, I'll tell you that. We probably have too many web developers actually in San Francisco, and that may be why you have very good business in New York. But they're very different economies, very different cultures. So what you're finding in New York and the demand in New York would probably be very different than what you find here in San Francisco. I don't know New York well. I'm not a New Yorker, so I'll stop there.
Yeah, I just see that Mr. Chung Chik already mentioned that he showed that Vinasa should have an office here in the Bay Area to assess the member effectively. Yes, I think that is a very good suggestion. Actually, Vinasa is now preparing for more detailed and more kind of deeper plan to support our Vietnamese member companies to come to the Bay Area and also the USA in general. We are now planning it. We are talking with some people, Vietnamese people there in the Bay Area, and of course it is the people who knows long-term experience in the Bay Area and also have a large connection. And also we have Vinasa now we have two leaders of Vinasa is now also staying in the West Bay Area. So kind of any time we also can go and meet in person with the related organization. And also at the moment, we also have one of Vinasa's staff to be there in San Francisco. So kind of like we are now having some thing that we think we can go further. And also for these activities, our leaders in San Francisco and also my college in San Francisco also supports us a lot in this organizing these activities. So yes, anh Trung Trịnh, and now all the delegates from USA, we are having more detailed and deeper plan to push or to promote for the cooperation between Vietnamese company and the USA company, and we'll release it soon. Yeah. Okay, Claire.
Thank you very much. I think it's the last question that we have today. Thank you very much for joining, and also very special thanks to Mr. Mark Chandler for spending time with us and all of our attendees joining us today. Thank you very much on behalf of NASA. I would like to say thank you again for a very fruitful information for us on US and Vietnamese ICT market. I hope that you will have a better viewpoint and soon we'll have action plan and long-term cooperation. So thank you very much for your presence today, and I wish you all in good health and prosperous. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Everybody have a good day.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
And good night to you.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.